Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. This month I will be reading all female authors because it's Women's History Month in the States. My first book I'm going to read is I Hold a Wolf by the Ears by Laura Vandenberg. These are all short stories, and on the back it says, Lauren Vandenberg writes, sideways ghost stories that linger in the mouth and the mind, both timeless and urgent. These 11 stories confront misogyny, violence, and the possible economics of America with Vandenberg's trademark spiky humor and surreal eye. So I'm going to leave that there. Sorry about that. I got a phone call. Right now I'm supposed to be working, but I'm not. I'm doing this instead because I'm trying to get this done by the end of the day. I wanted to record this video earlier this week and I just couldn't make it happen. So this is crunch time. Anyways, the next book I'm reading is written by Roxane Gay and it's Bad Feminist Essays. I've always wanted to read her work. I'm a big fan of her because I watch her all the time on YouTube. I watch every single interview I can get my hands on. On the back it says, what makes Bad Feminist such a good read isn't only Gay's ability to deftly weave razor-sharp pop culture analysis and criticisms with a voice that is both intimate and relatable. Despite embracing the bad feminist label, Gay isn't a bad feminist at all. In fact, she's one of the best. So I'll also be reading that. The third book I will be reading is Hood Feminism by Mikki Kendall. On the back it says, mainstream feminists rarely talk about meeting basic needs as a feminist issues, argues Mikki Kendall. But food security, access to quality education, safe neighborhoods, a living wage, and medical care are all feminist issues. So that will be my third read. And my fourth will be The Rebel Nun by Marge Charlier. A friend of mine gave this to me maybe like a year or so ago, and I just haven't had a chance to read it yet. And this is also a true story, and it sounds crazy. So on the inside sleeve it reads, The Rebel Nun is based on the true story of Cleotilde, the daughter of a 6th century king and his concubine, who lead a rebellion of nuns against the rising misogyny and patriarchy of the medieval church. So that just sounded really interesting and a bit of an adventure, and although it's true, it just has an element of adventure that I thought I might enjoy amongst everything else I'm reading. So those are the 4 books that are going to be my reads for this month. But there's this book club I follow on Instagram, and they're reading 2 books. The first one is Joshua Whitehead's Johnny Appleseed, but I've already read that one. Excuse me. The second one is Chola Salvation, and when I started reading about that book, I couldn't help myself. I really want to read it because I felt a connection to the material. So on the back of the book for Chola Salvation by Estela Gonzalez, it states, in the title story of this collection, Isabella is minding her family's restaurant, drinking her dad's beer, when Frida Kahlo and the Virgin de Guadalupe walk in. Even though they're dressed in like cholas, the girl immediately recognized Frida's unibrow and the Virgin's crown. They want to give her advice about the quinceañera her parents are forcing on her. In fact, their lecture, Don't Get Pregnant, Go to School, Be Proud of Your Indigenous Roots, helps Isabella to escape her parents' physical and sexual abuse. But can she really run away from the self-hatred they've created? So, to tell you a little bit on a personal note, there's a part of my family that grew up in East Los Angeles, and it's changed a lot since then. I think they moved like in the early 2000s. So when I read the back of Chola's Salvation, it just reminded me a lot of my younger childhood years growing up in the East Los Angeles area. And I have these fond memories that might not sound fun to other people, but my dad used to walk or drive my brother and I down to the liquor store and grab a liter of soda for each of us. And at the time, they don't have it anymore because they don't want to promote cigarettes to children. But they used to have this gum that was, it looked like a, they looked like cigarettes. So they were like gum cigarettes. So, and they were laced with powdered sugar, and my dad smoked. So he would be driving in the front seat smoking his cigarette, and I would have my window rolled down in the back seat and smoking my fake cigarette because every time you would like blow out the air, that powdered sugar would just like it would go everywhere. That was just like a lot of fun memories. And so I'm very much drawn to that book. But if I read that book, that's 5 books, and I'm not a fast reader. I read 5 books for the month of February, and I mean, I had to basically get those like old wooden clothespin and just like keep my eyes open so I could read all those books for the month of February. So we'll see how it goes. If I don't get to read Chola Salvation this month, I'm going to read it in a couple of months. I want to focus on Latin authors is basically what I want to do later on down the line. Also below, I'm going to go ahead and create a link so you can see what I want to read for the rest of the year. Hopefully I can put it together and make it work correctly. So I'd appreciate it if you went ahead and liked, subscribed, commented below. Let me know what you think about these books. If you've read them before, I'd like to know if you liked it, and if you didn't like it, let me know as well why. I'd really appreciate it. And I guess I'll see you later.